Hi, I'm Russell Cottrell, physical therapist. I've been into longevity, anti-aging, living as long as possible, as healthy as possible since I was 15.
And I'm Debbie Cottrell, registered dietitian, specializing in functional medicine and definitely interested in healthy longevity. Today we want to take a look at vitamin supplements. Can they improve cognition? That means, can they improve your thinking, how you can come and face the world?
We have an answer for you.
But first, let's take a look at the difference between whole food vitamins and synthetic vitamin supplements. So we want to take a look specifically at the absorption, the energy, and the health impact. So what are synthetic vitamins?
Simply said, they're just lab made, created in a lab.
Okay, and they're made to mimic natural vitamins.
Well, in a sense, they chemically mimic the whole food vitamin.
That's right. So just for example, most people, and you included, may know about vitamin C. You think of that coming from oranges and things like that versus what we see on the supermarket shelf, ascorbic acid. And we know that that's vitamin C, but the ascorbic acid is the synthetic form.
Most vitamins you'll ever see commercially done are synthetic. If it's whole food, it will say whole food because that's part of the advertising marketing. If it doesn't say whole food, it's not. You can't see, well, I wonder if this is whole food or not. It'll say whole food vitamin, typically.
That's right. And so what are whole food vitamins exactly?
Well, in a sense, they're made from concentrated, dehydrated foods.
So that means they come with the whole food, and they have the natural enzymes, the minerals, the phytonutrients that are all necessary for helping that vitamin to be utilized by the body.
Like if you took the acerola cherry and you just dehydrated it, that would have the vitamin C, all the cofactors, all the minerals, the phytonutrients, all the enzymes right there in that product. That's what they're doing.
So the vitamin then is being delivered to the body in the whole food matrix.
Exactly.
So let's take a quick look at some of the key chemical differences. Vitamin E, for example. The natural source, the D-alpha tocopherol, is 1.3 to 2 times more bioavailable than the synthetic DL-alpha.
And folate or folic acid, the synthetic versus food folate conversion issues, in some people the issue is the MTHFR gene. People have difficulty really processing that.
And also with B12, there's methylcobalamin, which is the natural form, versus the cyanocobalamin, which is the synthetic. So there's a natural synergy with whole food vitamins because they come in that whole food matrix. It comes with natural cofactors. The bioflavonoids come with the vitamin C.
Minerals, enzymes for activation.
And also antioxidants to balance any kind of reactions.
All there in that one product.
That's right. What about absorption and effectiveness?
Well, you get a rapid absorption with the synthetic, sometimes short-lived as well.
And then with the whole food vitamin, the absorption can be a little bit slower, but more sustained release. So you actually have a better tolerance for it.
Now, vitamin C from citrus actually lasts longer in the system than the synthetic form. So you may be getting less milligrams, for example, but it's going throughout the day. It's releasing more and more like that throughout the day. So you're actually utilizing the vitamin C for all the different processes that you need it for, versus just a big, jump in the beginning and then hardly any to go through the day.
That's right. So what are some potential drawbacks of the synthetic forms?
Well, the cheap forms definitely have poor absorption.
And then high doses can cause imbalances,
especially the fat soluble, A, D, E, and K, for example.
Right. They also lack the natural cofactors that are necessary for optimal use.
Because you have to have those cofactors to actually have the vitamin. And it's like having a hammer with no nails. It's not really that usable.
And how about the different spin? Maybe some people, maybe you have heard about that there's a different spin with the synthetic versus the whole food. So what does spin mean?
Most of you may have never heard this before. We heard it years ago and it was puzzling to us as well. But essentially, it's like your right and your left hand. So I have my right hand's here, and if I put my palm down, in the physical therapy world, this is called pronation. And I went from right to left. But if I do pronation with this, my left hand, it's left to right. So in a sense, they're mirror images of each other, but not the same.
And so that's similar to the spin, the spin of the synthetic versus the spin of the whole food. They may be mirror images.
Well, the cofactors and enzymes that activate, if they're only left spin and the hand, let's see, if all the cofactors and the enzymes that actually process that vitamin are only spinning one direction, they won't process the opposite spin as well.
Because they're like the enzymes in the body are used to a certain kind of spin. That's what they've kind of been designed to take in and to deal with. So when it's an opposite spin, it's kind of like, what do I do with this?
Yeah. Synthetic vitamins may contain both forms. It's about a 50-50 mix usually.
Right. And if you're looking at the bottle, you can also remember that the right spinning or the whole food spinning, they have a D in front of them versus the synthetic forms typically have an L. They might have a DL, like the DL alpha tocopherol, but the D alpha tocopherol would be the natural one.
Very good way of looking in the bottle to see.
So why does spin matter? We talked a little bit about the enzymes.
Well, absorption for one thing. That's why you have to, with a synthetic form, you have to have a huge mega dose to get the same effect as you would get with a whole food source.
So oftentimes, and you may have noticed this when you look at the vitamins on the shelf, you look at ascorbic acid and it may have 1,000 milligrams, per one tablet. And then you look, let's say, at a whole food supplement and it may have 60 milligrams. Well, one thing that's different even with that is you may be thinking, I'm getting a better bang for my buck with more milligrams, but the realization is the body may not use it all, and it's just, like you said, quick in, and sometimes that means quick out, but also with the natural form, it's a slower time release that the body recognizes and is able then to utilize.
Yeah, and then also synthetic, you can't even absorb all of those either. And vitamin E, for example, you have a 1.3 to 2 times more bioavailability in the active form than the synthetic.
Which is significant. So when spin matters? Well, some vitamins, they have an important optical form. So let's take vitamin E. Again, for example, the natural form, the D alpha, is more active than the synthetic, the DL alpha.
And again, that's because of that spin. There's specific enzymes that are needed to process that. And if they're only the D form, not the L form, then you're mismatched.
That's right. And vitamin C. So the synthetic form is identical to the natural, the L-ascorbic acid. And again, the difference would be that the vitamin C that's in the whole food is coming again with all of those cofactors and the enzymes and the phytonutrients that actually help the body to use it appropriately.
It's kind of getting a toy without the batteries versus a toy with the batteries.
That's a good example. How about B vitamins?
Well, they're typically synthesized in the same active form, typically, except for B12.
Okay, so, and that would be significant for some people to make sure they're getting the natural versus the synthetic.
Yeah, and with folic acid or folate, the difference is basically in the metabolism of the person. So with a person with a gene issue, the MTHFR gene issue, they would have a trouble processing.
So the folic acid would be the synthetic, the folate being the natural. So someone that may know that they have that, they definitely have to get the natural form. So just to kind of summarize the whole thing, the synthetic versus the natural spin or the whole food, sometimes the synthetic vitamins can spin opposite, i.e. the vitamin E, but not all do. So vitamin C and some of the B vitamins are identical.
The body prefers the form that matches its natural enzymes.
It really does. It's more usable. So knowing this helps you choose the more bioavailable supplement. So back to the effect of vitamins on your thinking, or what we call cognition.
Before you say that, I want to tell you that basically this study was probably done on synthetic vitamins. So just imagine if they would have done it on a whole food source vitamin. Go ahead.
So they did 3 separate randomized controlled trials. So actually that means that they're pretty comprehensive and pretty good trials. And they did 2 years on a basic vitamin, a basic multivitamin. And there was also a placebo group, which is super important when you're doing randomized control trials.
Yeah.
So then you can compare one with and one without.
Well, they showed improvement in cognition and processing speed and episodic memory, remembering events and experiences.
Not just improved, but they actually reduced the aging by 5 years.
That's pretty incredible for a synthetic vitamin.
That is very incredible for synthetic vitamin. It just goes to show that our body really does need those vitamins. They're important. My personal opinion is that the reason that they did better with the vitamin is because what we're growing these days is devoid of nutrients. They're just not putting the nutrients back in the soil, so we end up with a less than optimal result.
I remember reading years ago that when I graduated from high school in 1975, if I'd have bought an apple and I could preserve it till now, and I compared it with an apple now, it'd be like 30 apples in nutritive value, just that one.
Definitely significant. So when we think about this, we want to think also in terms of safety in the use. So for synthetic, they may be great for quickly correcting a deficiency, so medical dosing in essence.
The whole food is actually better for the daily maintenance and long-term balance of wellness.
So both have roles depending upon the needs. But in summary, synthetic vitamins, they're lab-made, fast-acting, typically more affordable. The whole food vitamins, they're food-derived and synergistic because of all the cofactors that are in there, and gentle for long-term use. So just in summary, they both have their place. Synthetic is more of the quick fix, but the whole food is more of the natural long-term balance. And
we choose quality versus
quantity. We hope this was helpful for you and in understanding vitamins and the difference between synthetic and whole foods. We want you to remember how significant this is for our thinking. We face every day, and we've got to have our brain. We've got to have it functioning well, and what we take into our body is actually really significant to how well we can think. So this is helpful for you. Please hit that like button. It'll get this out to more people. Feel free to share it with someone that you know needs to have this information. And do hit that subscribe button, and that way you won't miss future episodes. So until next time, aloha.